Let's start with a name I will never forget. Ellen Greenberg. On the scene, police were told there's no break-in, nothing's been stolen. It must be a suicide. And they went, okay. Now, they couldn't see all the stabs in the back, remember? It gets to the medical examiner's office, and Dr. Marlon Osborne says, this homicide, she was murdered. Good. A few days later, there was a closed-door meeting with members from the district attorney's office, a member from the district attorney's office, and from the Philly PD, pushing their story. And Osborne says, under oath, he was pressured to change his ruling to suicide. There are textbook strangulation marks around her neck and on her wrists. Oh, so she strangled herself to subdue herself before she stabbed herself. And, as we like to call it, the wrong way blood. Ellen was found, we did a reenactment at Jacksonville State University. Ellen was found sitting up on the kitchen floor, slumped back against the kitchen cabinets, her feet splayed out in front of her. But the killer screwed up. She has blood. You've heard of Sir Isaac Newton, right? Gravity. Blood is dried from the nose to the ear, which means she died like that. And the killer left her there long enough for it to not only go that way, trickle that way, but dry, and then she was sat back up.
Take your right hand and try, just for a second, try to move your hand behind your head, ranging all the way down your neck, and think about that over and over and over and over again. One thing I want to ask you guys, how many people out here have ever had a paper cut? Anybody ever had a paper cut? Painful, right? You know why it's painful? Because that pain center fires every time, every time. How much more so with a knife going into your skin, going down to the muscle, sometimes striking the bone. So that's the totality of all of the injuries or insults that Ellen sustained, and these are all, they vary in depth. Okay?
How can that be a suicide?
It's an empirical impossibility. Look, hey, listen, I worked in New Orleans with the coroner, I worked in Atlanta with the ME. I've only had one case of a self-inflicted wound that ranged this high. We ruled it a suicide, which I didn't agree with because the guy was schizophrenic. He thought he had a microphone that the CIA had put in his forearm. He sliced his forearm 30 times before he exsanguinated, ran out of blood, and died. This is not this. She's not in a manic phase. She had anxiety. She has got a stab wound approximating the C2, C3 area right here. That's the second and third cerebral, cervical vertebra. It penetrates, it passes through, in between. It actually nicks the dura mater, that sheath that's outside, and actually, here's the kicker. It gets into what they refer to as the parenchyma. The parenchyma is just a fancy term for surface of the brain or surface of the spinal cord. Now, you want to hear something really interesting?
Yeah.
Thank you. Her brain, this tissue, was examined a number of years later by a neuropathologist. This is somebody that specializes in the brain and in the spinal cord. They looked at it microscopically. Guess what she didn't find? There was no hemorrhage. No hemorrhage in this insult back here. Now, that's what we call a clue in medical legal death investigation. That gives you an indication.
Please don't drag it out and tell them. Just tell them.
That actually means that the odds are this is a post-mortem injury. Let that sink in just for a second. A post-mortem injury, there was no associated hemorrhage with this. And this was only discovered years later afterwards. As a matter of fact, that neuropathologist didn't even get a full sample of all of the
I would never say it like that to a jury. I would say, so she stabbed herself after she's dead?
It's an empirical
Something
possibility.
like that.
I've been around a lot of dead bodies. I've never had one attack me with a knife. Never, ever. And look, I'm not trying to be coarse here. It's just the reality. It defies logic on every level. And the victim, Ellen, and her parents, who continue to be a victim, have to relive this every day.